Streets don't love nobody. Gotta find a new route to make it out, man, cause streets don't love nobody. Used to think it was all good, but I found out the hard way. Streets don't love nobody. Used to think the streets was all I knew, but streets don't love nobody. Nah, streets don't love nobody. What's going on, y'all?
Yo,
I'm Vince.
I'm Rock.
Welcome to another episode, Reality Poet TV. Today we got a special guest.
Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Kylie Miller. I am a communications specialist, audio journalist, working often at the intersection of disability advocacy and podcasting and social media.
Cool.
Cool.
So tell us how you got involved with disability justice and advocating.
Yeah. Okay, so it all starts with Judy Heumann. So I finished college in 2020, which is the same year that Crip Camp came out, which is an Oscar-nominated film by Jim Lebrecht and Nicole Newnham that tells the story of the 504 sit-in of 1977, where Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act wasn't being implemented, so a group of disabled protesters took over a federal building in San Francisco. It's a whole history, but all to say that Crip Camp tells that story, and a central figure in that story was Judy Heumann. So I see that documentary, and I'm just finishing college, I'm job searching, and I see a job for Judy Heumann, and I was like, whoa, is this the woman that I just watched in this documentary? That's pretty wild. And I applied to be her executive assistant and got an interview and got like the most cryptic email response. She was like, good resume, like, want to interview you. And I was like, oh, this is fake. Like, this must be a scam or something. It was like really weird. She just kind of typed like that now that I got to know her. But then like, lo and behold, it was her on Zoom. And I got the job. And at the same time, her podcast producer was leaving. So I actually ended up being able to do that part of the job. Instead of her executive assistant, I became her podcast producer, digital content manager, which was what I studied anyways, what I wanted to do. And it just like completely changed my life. I mean, Judy was an amazing disability activist. She's often referred to as the mother of the disability rights movement. And it just completely changed the trajectory of my life and my career. Yeah, so that's a long-winded answer of how I first got into like the disability advocacy space. I was really lucky.
When you got that text and you finally realized it was her, how did that feel for you?
I was like a little starstruck, honestly, because I had seen her in the documentary and just like had begun learning like who she really was. I think at first I didn't know like actually all of the important things she did for the world until I like fully worked for her. But I mean, I was like, oh shit, I need to get this job. Like It made me even more like this isn't just any job. It felt like I kind of knew like this is going to change my life. Maybe more so than other jobs could, but it was also my first job out of college, so maybe I'm speaking kind of naively, but yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically you was already into disability justice, and getting the job with Judy just opened your eyes to...
Yeah, I think disability had always been on the periphery, I think, in ways that I didn't quite understand. I think until people engage with disability advocacy, they don't really realize like how much there is to learn. Like we all think like, oh yeah, I care about this. And then you're like, oh no, there's a world. Like there's people out here doing things, and there's so many ways in which the general population doesn't realize disability intersects with everyday life. They don't realize all of the legal issues for disability that are very much still existing. For example, like my family runs a nonprofit and has my whole life in memory of my uncle who passed away of cancer. And I remember when I was interviewing for the job with Judy, I was like, oh yeah, I have a little bit of experience. We help families who are usually impacted by illness, disability, whatever. But even then, like looking now after working with Judy, I was like, oh, that was so like medical model of disability. Like I thought I understood. And then it was like, no, like the world like cracked open of like, you think it's one thing, but there was so much to learn. And I was learning from what I would say is one of the best teachers working with Judy.
Yeah, for those of them that don't know, which they should know, who Judy is, could you tell them a little bit?
Yeah, totally. So like I said, she's often referred to as the mother of the disability rights movement. There's many, many other people who like have done so much work, deserve their flowers as well in the disability space. But her kind of career began, honestly, even if you look at the beginning of her story, when she was 5 years old, she went to go to her first day of school and they said, you can't come in, you're a fire hazard because you use a wheelchair. So she was a post-polio, used a wheelchair from the age of like 3, I want to say, around there, maybe a little younger, and was denied the right to go to school in New York City, in Brooklyn, because she used a wheelchair. They said, you're a fire hazard. And from there on, her whole life kind of just became like advocating for not only her rights, but all of her peers and all of the people around her. They ended up sending a tutor to her home 2 days a week and said that that would suffice for her to learn. And she eventually was able to go to school, I think maybe like late grade school, maybe like 5th grade, because there was finally an accessible elementary school. And all of the disabled kids were in the basement in one classroom, regardless of age, regardless of different needs. They were all in one room. And she said they would like turn off the lights in the middle of the day for like nap time. And she's like sitting there like, what's going on, you know? So it was poor education, but she finally was able to go to school. And then fast forward, she goes to college. She studies speech and theater with a minor in education. And when she goes to become a teacher, she goes to get her teaching license, as everybody does. They denied her because, again, they said she was a fire hazard, that if there was a fire, she wouldn't be able to get students out. They asked her how she used the bathroom, just very inappropriate questions and things that nobody else would be being asked. So she sued the New York Board of Education, and they ended up, she didn't technically win because they strongly advised the Board of Education to reconsider. They did, and she was awarded her teaching license, and she actually was the first wheelchair user in the state of New York to become a teacher. So that's like early on Judy. And then fast forward, she helped lead the 504 sit-in that I talked about a little bit. And she was really integral in passing the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. And she went on to work for both the Clinton and Obama administrations, first in the Department of Education and then at the State Department. So she had a whole political career, and then she unfortunately passed away in March of 2023 and had kind of since post-Obama administration had been doing a lot of consulting work, which is when I worked for her, and she also had a podcast that I produced. So that's in a nutshell, but there's so much more you can learn about Judy, and there's a lot of cool ways to learn about her still out there.
That's good.
Yeah, definitely. You just told me some stuff I didn't know. And
I damn sure didn't know that neither.
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, and I see why people, really put her where she is, because, she definitely deserve it, for the things that she got done. How was it, like, did it help you as a person to, an able-bodied person to see, like, everyday issues we go through? Like, did that open your eyes to?
Yeah, I mean, so I also traveled with Judy, and I often functioned as a personal assistant, like helping, daily functions of living, changing, dressing, all of that. And I think that's an experience that everybody should have to do at some point in their life. I think it just, it gives so much understanding, but also like, this could be anybody, and it often is anybody, and we all age. If we're lucky enough to live into our old age, we're going to acquire disability. And I think it gave me a lot of perspective on her daily life. I mean, aside from just the mechanics of what you have to do when you get up in the morning, the cost, like the expense of having in-home care is not a privilege that most people have, and we don't have a system that's set up for people to be able to easily do that unless you are impoverished, and the system makes you live in poverty to have access to any services, or you literally have to make like $250,000 to be able to afford in-home care. And even then it's like, depending on where you live, and the turnover rate's high. So I think the understanding of like having in-home care is like running a business. It is running a small business. You have employees. Yeah, it just really opened my eyes to what that looks like. And I did grow up with a grandmother who my whole life used a wheelchair, and she didn't have that capability. You know, she lived in like an independent living center and had to only have a certain amount of money in her bank account to be able to have access to care. It was interesting to see, oh, there is this other side, but it's also a very difficult, unattainable option for people. And she had a husband too who used a wheelchair, so he also, you know, like they were running a business out of their apartment just to get up in the morning, just to like be able to, you know, go out and enjoy a meal together and with all their friends. So.
Oh yes, you mentioned, you know, having. I think that's where, you know, the love for it came, you know, like especially somebody that grew up with a parent or a grandparent with a disability. You know, they really know. You know, and I applaud you for, you know, staying in it.
Thanks.
Yeah, because not that many people would truly like want to do what you're trying to do, and it you have to have the heart for it. You have to really, really want to do this.
Yeah, it's definitely become like a driving passion, disability advocacy in general, and I think my work now too, I work with Lachi, who's a musician and friend of Open Doors, and she kind of has a philosophy that everybody has disability identity. She talks a lot about it in her book, and not only just like into old age we all acquire disabilities, but like everybody has like something where they're like, oh, this is the part of me that like relates to disability, whether it's mental health or chronic pain or, you know, like I think if people could just lean more into like that, whatever it is about them, they would have so much more empathy for like every experience on the wide spectrum of disability. So that's something I try to embody too.
Yeah, you said your family runs a nonprofit. You know, have you been involved with that for a while?
Yeah, my whole life. I'm actually named after my uncle Kyle, who is it's named after. He had a brain tumor at the age of 4 and then developed bone cancer in his 20s and passed away. And my family started a nonprofit in his honor and often helps families who are affected by cancer, but also other conditions, disabilities, providing just financial support for whether it's treatments or, you know, if they need any type of device. And yeah, that's been something I've been a part of my whole life.
What's the name of this?
That's dope.
Yeah, it's called the Kyle Miller Memorial Inc.
That's dope.
And he loved softball, so every year we used to hold a softball fundraiser where softball teams would come out and play. We'd bring college recruiters so that girls could get connected with college scouts. Then, yeah, all the proceeds went to just families.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So tell us about your work with, you know, when it comes to producing. You know, like
Yeah.
how much you enjoy that.
That's definitely my bread and butter. Like, it's what I want to be doing all the time. I just finished my master's at NYU in audio journalism. I went back in 2023 and finished, I guess, at the end of 2024. So it's been like a year. But yeah, audio is like where I want to be. I want to be consuming audio journalism, podcasts all the time. I want to be creating it. I love editing. It's been kind of where I'm trying to like continue to move further into. It seems like a really fruitful industry right now, but it's actually like there's constantly layoffs happening at like Spotify, all of the big like podcast names. Funding's just bad right now. So it's been a little tricky, but I've been grateful to do freelance work in the audio space. And yeah, it's definitely what I hope to continue to do.
What made you want to get into that field?
Yeah, so I first had a internship in high school, actually, at my local NPR station. It was just like this youth media program, I think it was called. And I was running like my high school newspaper or something, and my teacher was like, oh, are you interested in this? And I was like, sure. And it was the first time that I did audio journalism compared to just like writing an article for the school newspaper. And I loved the like liveliness of it. I also I have a background in theater too, and I went to performing arts high school, and I thought it was kind of a cool blend of like theatrical storytelling and journalism. I mean, it's not always that way, but I think there's a lot you can do with audio, you know, if you like just are putting on a pair of headphones and like disappearing into this world. You don't even have to be watching anything. You don't have to be reading anything. Like you can just immerse yourself just through audio, I think is really, really cool. So that was kind of the first place that I engaged with audio in that way. And then I was like, oh, I think I'm interested in this. And then was interested in that in college, and then did Judy's podcast. And then at NYU definitely got like the full range of like what audio documentary work really looks like. But again, it's kind of hard right now, job market wise, to really be an audio journalist.
So what's your dream job in it?
Oh, my dream job. I mean, I used to work with this podcast called Atlas Obscura. They just do like these little like 15-minute episodes of like their taglines, like stories about the world's most like strange, incredible, wondrous places. So like anything that fits in that theme, they do episodes for. And I loved that job. Like, it was so fun to just be like, here's a theme, like, pitch me a bunch of ideas. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And then you're creating, like, 15-minute postcards of, like, taking people to these places. Like, I loved that type of work. So I think a dream job would be, like, working for a show that has that kind of, like, this is what we're talking about and trying to tell, and then being able to create, like, documentary audio pieces that fit within that. So many shows come to mind. Yeah, I love listening to podcasts, and especially like short form documentary. It's like the best.
Okay, so you're not really, or maybe you are, but it seems like you're willing to stay in the documentary / podcast space.
Yeah.
Not thinking about writing or producing a big show or nothing.
I mean, that'd be cool too. I'm open to it all. I feel very like, I don't know, anytime an opportunity pops up, if it like feels aligned, I'm like, let me go for it, So I never close the door on anything of like, oh, that's not for me, if it feels like it could be, Yeah.
But your main thing right now is podcasting and documentary.
For sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the way art is, like how art can be, showed in so many different ways, like that's art. Like you're an artist. Yeah.
Thanks.
And I think people, especially people, with disabilities, fighting for disability justice, I think it's a great way to express yourself in art.
Yeah.
Through that way, I think that's how it really gets out, the message, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad, like you able to work with people that's really, really out there putting the footwork in, and I remember a Freestyle Friday we had on Judy, and I was just basically saying, the sacrifice, she put out there, and you brought up a good point about, like, do think about your health, because it does become a wear and tear on your body. It's a sacrifice that you want to go through. But I think anybody that's dedicated to anything, really be, and I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
It really, really, means a lot, to people that, it's people out there willing to help and love to help, You got this guy over here. So how are you? How are you enjoying editing our podcast with me?
I was just about to say, really? Tell them how you ended up bumping to these two misfits.
So I first got connected with Open Doors through the documentary Fire Through Dry Grass. I had worked with Rosemary on a few different projects, one with Lachi, and she worked on Crip Camp too. And she reached out like, hey, this documentary is really, really cool, and they're looking for somebody to help with social media, which I was doing a lot of at the time, just kind of freelance social media work. And that's how we first got connected. And then as the Impact campaign was winding down, Rosemary was like, hey, did you know that Vincent Varr do a podcast? And I was like, no, but I want to know. And it was kind of like a perfect, I feel like, alignment of, okay, we've already started working together. You guys wanted to revamp your podcast and kind of get it back up and running. And I've been really, really grateful to be able to work with you guys, continue to work with you guys. And also just, I really enjoy, it's nice when you get to edit something that you actually would listen to, too. Like, I enjoy the conversations you guys are having. I love the, like, balance between the two of you as hosts. I think it works really well. And all of the conversations, I'm like, yeah, this is something I would listen to anyways. So it's really just a pleasure and a privilege to be able to edit it.
He tricked me into being in his house. He knew what he was doing. But we appreciate you for being our editor.
Definitely. And I think, like I was telling Alex the other night, when we went to Lachi's book review event, and it's crazy because we seen somebody that we know, through another organization, but he became, like, he's always at our events and stuff. I'm like, man, it's crazy how this community, it's a small community, but how you can just see somebody be like, oh, shoot, how you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I love that about New York, too. Like, I don't know. New York is so big. There's so many people, but it's like you go to the same type of event, you see all the same people in, like, the best way. Like any disability event, I'm like, there's, so-and-so, and I know this person from this. Do you two know each other? Oh, wow, you do know each other. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I tell myself I got to get out to more events like that in the community, I think that's important, to support others, the ones that support you, and never know what you'll be able to come up with together,
Totally.
And I think, if people, stick together and join the same mission, that's how we get change.
Yeah.
And, change
Absolutely.
will definitely come that way.
Supposed to stick together.
Yeah, and when I seen the link in the email, I was like, man, gotta go. Because for one, I like a person that's unfiltered.
Yeah, Lachi,
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah, I appreciate you for coming out, appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
To help us and continue this going and get our word out, and
Likewise, for sure.
Making us look good on TV.
You make it easy.
Tell them you got to take some of them clothes off in the winter. Tell them.
I was surprised that you weren't wearing a coat today, and you were like, oh, it's not that cold today. I'm like, I guess that's true.
You're always bundled up, man. Always. Well, once again, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on. This was such a treat. Appreciate it.
We truly appreciate you.
Definitely. Don't become a stranger. Come back whenever you want.
Anytime.
All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all.
We out.
Streets don't love nobody. Gotta find a new route to make it out, man.